Give me 10 seconds. Do you buy the stock? And if so, where?
No, we have a sell rating on the stock. We think you're shorting the stock. We would be shorting on strength tomorrow.
Gordon. All right. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Steven and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So you guys knew this one was coming. In fact, my DMs have been blowing up with requests to react to the class clown, Mr. Humiliation Fetish himself, Gordon Genius Johnson, sharing his thoughts on Tesla's recent earnings. Everybody's favorite Tesla bear has been a busy boy, making multiple media appearances, sharing his intellectually rigorous thoughts on Tesla's earnings, where to from here, and of course, Tesla's insane stock price. So in this video, I've compiled some highlights from 4 of Gordon's appearances in the mainstream finance media, and I'll be responding to a few of his key points. So with that said, let's get into the video. If you love crypto, stocks, and free stuff, or just want to help out the channel, check out these great offers. Blockfire launching the world's first Bitcoin rewards credit card. People in the US can earn 1.5% Bitcoin back on every purchase with no annual fee using the Blockfire Bitcoin rewards credit card. Check out the link in the description. And for a limited time, you can get up to $250 in crypto bonuses when funding a new account on Blockfire, where you can use cryptocurrency to earn interest, borrow cash, and buy or sell crypto. If you want your free crypto, use the link in the description. And if you'd like up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $300 just for opening an account. And if you make an initial deposit of $5 or more, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $2,000. Seriously. Free stocks? Yes, please. And finally, if you're in Australia, the UK, or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake, also linked in the description. Thanks so much for your support, guys. Let's get back to it.
Tesla. Well, the stock has faltered some. It's below. It sits between basically 600 and 700. It's sort of Bitcoin between 30,000 and 40,000. It just can't seem to break out, holding back. Tech and the NASDAQ are hitting new highs, but not Tesla. What are you expecting, and what are your thoughts about the company at this time?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. I think there's a number of important things. Let's first focus on market share. So if you look at China, from the fourth quarter of 19 to the second quarter of this year, their market share in China has fallen from 23% to 11%. Move to Europe. From the first quarter of 2019 to the second quarter of this year, in Europe, their market share has fallen from 33% to just 15%. So in the 2 key markets where you're seeing real competition, Tesla is seeing significant erosion in market share. Move to the US. What's happening in the US? They've shipped no boats yet from the US, from Fremont, to the EU, and we're looking at registrations in the US so far that are looking a little light this quarter, despite the fact there's not real competition. The point is, when competition enters the fray, Tesla sees significant market share losses.
Now, I'm unsure if Gordon is ever going to stop regurgitating this 65 IQ narrative, but let's just break this down into the 2 core components. The first is, Tesla is going to lose market share over time as more other companies produce their own electric vehicles, because math. If a new company suddenly starts producing electric vehicles, they've now created a slice of the electric vehicle market that didn't exist before, and by default, that's going to technically shrink Tesla's share of the market. This is irrelevant. What matters is total deliveries. Is Tesla delivering more vehicles quarter over quarter? Are they continuing to grow their deliveries globally? If they are, then nothing else matters. And as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, so we're looking at Tesla's trailing 12-month vehicle deliveries per quarter. Notice the trend. It's increasing. Now, the only time that Gordon would have a point that there's some trouble ahead is if this trend started to reverse and suddenly Tesla wasn't growing their quarterly deliveries on average. That would be a problem. That's not what we're seeing, however. So all this talk about losing market share or the competition, it's all irrelevant. This is the only thing that matters. Is Tesla delivering more vehicles on average quarter over quarter? If the answer is yes, then that's the end of the conversation. Like I said, this is some 65 IQ trickery here. There's nothing in this. This is absolutely meaningless. The second thing is that Tesla currently produces vehicles on just 2 continents. However, they sell vehicles in many dozens of continents. So here's a question. How does Tesla sell a vehicle in Australia or Singapore or Timbuktu if they don't have local production there? Spoiler alert, they have to export those vehicles from either the US or China. Now, Gordon can manipulate the data here and go, oh look, their China sales have collapsed. When in fact, Tesla decided, you know what, this quarter, instead of selling these vehicles locally in China, we'll export them to this country or that country. This is intellectually dishonest cherry picking at its finest. And obviously, Gordon Johnson knows what he's doing here.
The consensus of earnings estimates on Tesla and shipment estimates have been so accurate I mean, it's kind of mind-baffling that the numbers could be so accurate. Essentially, what we think could be happening is Tesla is pre-publishing its numbers to select analysts. We don't get those numbers, and that's why the analysts are so accurate. We hope we get those numbers going forward.
Did Gordon just essentially accuse Tesla of illegally, prematurely providing key metrics about their financial results to select analysts on Wall Street before they're made publicly available? That did just happen, right? This is just such a shady thing for Gordon to do here. Saying something without directly saying it. Maybe we believe this is occurring, trying to paint Tesla in a negative, dishonest, unethical light without making a direct accusation, just saying we think maybe essentially this might be happening.
Give me 10 seconds. Do you buy the stock? And if so, where?
No, we have a sell rating on the stock. We think you're shorting the stock. We will be shorting on strength tomorrow.
Gordon. All right. Thank you.
Absolutely priceless reaction from the host there. I mean, I gotta watch that again. This is probably my favorite moment of all time, featuring everyone's favorite intellectual punching bag. He literally just said that he was going to be shorting Tesla stock following their Q2 earnings. Watch the host reaction. Oh man, is this real life?
Give me 10 seconds. Do you buy the stock? And if so, where?
No, we have a sell rating on the stock. We think you're shorting the stock. We will be shorting on strength tomorrow.
Gordon. All right. Thank you.
So, Gordon, I'm going to say this, and don't take it the wrong way. You're a bit of a contrarian, obviously. You have a different take than most of the street. Most of the street sees Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, I'm conflating them right now. Tesla having a very strong quarter with revenues up about almost 89% year over year. One thing I want to look at is deliveries. We've seen sequential improvement and year over year improvement in deliveries from Tesla. 185,000 in Q1, over 201,000 in Q2. What number would actually be impressive to you and for kind of meet the expectations that you have and also investor expectations?
Yeah, again, that's a great question. Let's take a step back. So look at Tesla trading at about 100 times earnings, 100 times earnings versus the auto industry average of about 6 to 7 times earnings. That's not a mistake. That's real.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Tesla's just an automotive company.
So you think about it. Last year, Tesla sold 500,000 cars, right? VW, who's Tesla's valued at a multiple, right? Their market cap is a multiple of VW, sold 13 million cars. So already in this valuation, Tesla is being valued as if it's growing its deliveries 100, 200% per quarter. That's what the valuation suggests. So going from 185,000 cars to 200,000 cars, while impressive to some, if you look at their valuation, I think is a disappointment. So we need to see this company get to multiple millions of cars sold per year to justify even half of its current valuation.
You know, Mr. Johnson may come to regret that statement in a few... Oh, hang on, guys. Sorry, I don't know how that happened. Hang on one sec. Sorry, my bad. Mr. Johnson here may come to regret that statement. He's actually given a tangible metric. Please somebody remind me to clip this video in just a few years' time when Tesla is selling multiple millions of electric vehicles per year to see what Gordon is then saying about Tesla's valuation.
And I think as the market realizes, Tesla, when they see competition, China, EU, where they're ceding significant share, as the market realizes they're no longer going to get these credit revenues that they've gotten that have been the bolus of their profit, I think the valuation is going to come down tremendously. He effectively said FSD does not work. That was essentially a quote from him.
What planet is this dingbat even on? I mean, hey, I've got to give some credit for the audacity of saying that was essentially a quote, that Elon essentially said that full self-driving doesn't work. Please, somebody let me in the comments know exactly what quote Gordon is essentially referring to there. Please, I'm a little bit confused.
So a lot of these things that Tesla is being valued as a technology play, last night they pushed out. And we think that's going to weigh heavy on investors' minds.
That being said, I mean, you did put out a note yesterday saying that you expected a top line beat and a bottom line miss. Yeah, Tesla did report better than expected earnings, $1 billion in net income during Q2, which was up tenfold from a year ago. Are you reconsidering your at least near-term thesis, given the fact that we did have stronger than expected?
Was that a tell from Gordon there, like laughing at the idea of changing their thesis based on new information and stunning results from Tesla? It's almost like essentially I'm just hallucinating here. Of course we're not going to change our thesis, you idiot. We don't actually believe what we're saying. We have an ulterior motivation here. The goal is to manipulate the data and scare people away from this stock to be ultra bearish, even when we're seeing the most bullish data we could possibly see. Don't you understand what we're doing here? We're not trying to be genuine and share our actual thoughts. We're trying to create a perception and a negative narrative narrative by cherry picking, manipulating, deceiving, and misleading investors. Just thinking out loud there. I was essentially just hallucinating there. I don't actually believe anything I said, essentially.
Are you reconsidering your at least near-term thesis, given the fact that we did have stronger than expected numbers, and given the fact that not a lot of that actually came from tax credits and the like?
Well, we don't know, right? We need the 10Q. So here's what I'll say. The numbers were good. There's no doubt about it. But the quality of the earnings were poor in our view. If you look at the rate of growth of their operating cash flow versus the rate of growth of their net income, the quality of earnings is actually getting worse.
This has got to be one of the most nonsensical things I've ever heard this enlarged Johnson say. I mean, Tesla puts $1 billion in the bank for the first time. Massive gross automotive margins, huge record deliveries, record production, slaying it on every front that matters. This is like if I saw your morbidly obese girlfriend and said, damn son, she's in amazing shape. It just doesn't make sense. It's a nonsensical statement. Oh, by the way, guys, don't get offended. I'm just kidding. I know you don't have a girlfriend.
And the other thing I'll note is, despite the earnings being good, their cash balance fell roughly $1 billion quarter over quarter this quarter after falling $2 billion last quarter. So despite record net income, they're still seeing significant cash burn.
Now, I think I'll give Gordon a pass on this one. He was probably busy picking his suspenders out for his latest media appearance, so maybe he missed this on the earnings call, but Tesla explicitly stating that they paid down some long-term, high-interest rate debt with a bunch of their cash this quarter, because when they took that debt on originally, they didn't get great terms. Now they've got a shit ton of money sitting there doing absolutely nothing. It makes a hell of a lot of sense to start paying down some of that debt that they're paying really high interest rates on. This is where the cash went this quarter. But obviously Gordon missed that. I mean, I'll forgive him for this one. We all make mistakes. And of course, beyond the fact that Tesla used a big chunk of cash to pay down some long-term debt this quarter, there is the whole constructing two of the world's largest factories ever in record time simultaneously as well. Maybe Gordon is unaware, but generally speaking, it costs money to build factories. Just putting that out there. And
their receivables are up and their inventories were up. So there's specious accounting going on that we need to see the 10Q to really get a handle on. So overall, the numbers, the income statement numbers were good, but the cash flow statement numbers were very questionable.
One of Gordon's favorite tactics here, say something without directly saying it here by using the term specious accounting. And by the way, got to give a little bit of credit to Gordon. The fact that the term specious is part of his verbal repertoire, nice to see. Very uncommon word, well used as well in this particular case. I keep telling you guys, Gordon is smarter than you think. Point there, Gordon's saying there's something questionable going on with the accounting. There's specious accounting happening, suggesting that there may be a little bit of fraud without directly stating it.
Yeah, so the deliveries number we already knew. We knew that what the delivery number was going to be. The earnings, both on a GAAP and non-GAAP basis, were better than expected. The revenues were better than expected.
But let me now try to spin a negative narrative after admitting that Tesla knocked it out of the park.
However, I think what people may be concerned about here is their credit revenues. Their credit revenues last quarter over $500 million. Credit revenues this quarter roughly $350 million. We know that their biggest credit customer, Stellantis, essentially unexpectedly at the beginning of the second quarter said, we're moving away from Tesla. We're never buying another credit. We're making the EVs on our own. So I think that may be a concern for people because outside of those credit revenues, outside of this quarter, Tesla, has only been profitable 4 out of 29 quarters. So I think that's a major area of concern for people.
I don't think there is a single Tesla stock investor who has a shred of concern about the fact that over time, Tesla is obviously, inevitably going to receive less and less and then eventually zero income from the sale of regulatory credits. This is a temporary boon. Everybody knows this. At some point in the future, Tesla's so-called competition will begin to ramp up their own EV production and they will no longer need to buy regulatory credits off Tesla. Tesla's business isn't relying on this. We've covered this. I think the only people who even discuss the regulatory credits are all living in their mum's basement and short Tesla stock.
The other analysts, your peers, say that you've gone a little bit too far in your criticism of Tesla. I mean, they are the biggest player in the EV space, and the others haven't caught up yet. What do you say to the critics that say you may be too far out on this?
Great question. So, number one, keep in mind, Tesla is less than 1% of global auto sales. Their total sales last year, less than 1% of global auto sales.
Hey guys, just a real quick question for you. We're looking at Tesla's market share of vehicles by region over the trailing 12 months. We're looking at US and Canada, Europe and China. Does there appear to be a trend in this data? Does it appear that Tesla is gaining market share in every one of these key markets? I'm just asking the question here. I could be hallucinating here, but it seems to me like we're seeing an exponential growth curve. Tesla around 1.5% or so of the US and Canada vehicle market and around 1% in China and Europe. A year ago, closer to 0.5%, and a year before that, maybe 0.25%. You notice the trend? So here's the crazy idea, ready? What happens if we extrapolate into the future? Tesla seems to be approximately doubling their share of the global vehicle market every single year. What happens if you go from 1.5% to 3%, and then 6, and then 12, and then 24? This is literally the entire point. Tesla is massively growing their overall deliveries. Therefore, they're massively increasing their share of each of these key markets over time. The whole reason people invest in stocks, unless they're really high, is because they are expecting growth in the future. Tesla is a great example of a company that's growing at a ridiculous rate. This is a bullish point. The fact that Tesla's only today around 1.5% of each of these markets, and in the future could be 5, 10, 15, 20+%, that's the entire point.
Once those chip shortages are abated, but more importantly, once the other EVs, the 35 EVs from GM by the end of next year.
Wait, did he just say that GM are planning to have 35 new electric vehicles out by the end of next year? I might have just learned something from Gordon. Thank you if this is true. Let me know in the comments below. Is this actually what GM are targeting? Of course, we all know they're going to be steaming piles of shit. That's a whole other matter, but hey, that's interesting.
The Ford F-150 Lightning and their other host of EVs that are coming, as well as the host of EVs from VW, hit the U.S. market. I think Tesla's going to have problems. So I don't think we've gone too far. I think our peers have been too aggressive in their bullishness. We have a peer at Morgan Stanley.
Now, Gordon, I don't want to rain too heavily on your parade there, my friend, but Morgan Stanley are not your peers. GLJ Research, using the term extremely loosely there, are the laughingstock of the investing world. Everybody knows it. That being said, I do want to give Gordon a very genuine compliment. I truly mean this, by the way. Looking swole, brother. Got to give some credit where it's due. It's not just the tailored clothes there, but clearly the guy is eating a lot and lifting very heavy. Maybe a little bit of TRT there as well. Nothing wrong with that either. But I just wanted to give a genuine compliment. He's peerless among sharp-dressed, swole Tesla bears. I'll give him that at least.
Who has created divisions that Tesla's not even in. He's valuing Tesla's Tesla Air. He says they're going to have a flying car. He's already valuing them at more than Boeing.
So I just want to clarify what Gordon has claimed here because it's, shall we say, factually incorrect. Morgan Stanley's research suggests that in the future, Tesla may supply batteries and electric motors to electric aircraft. Nothing to do with flying cars. We're talking about aircraft, electric aircraft, and second of all, not that Tesla would be producing their own flying cars or flying aircraft, but be a supplier to that industry. This is an important distinction.
We're not saying Tesla's a fraud.
I'm not saying Gordon Johnson doesn't believe a word he says about Tesla. I'm not saying that Gordon Johnson has an ulterior motivation. I'm not saying that Gordon Johnson is a paid oil shill. I'm not saying that Gordon Johnson is a short seller's puppet. I'm not saying any of that.
But what we're saying is there's some aggressive accounting there. But what we're saying is when reality reveals itself and people connect the dots that they're losing share, we think the stock's going to come under tremendous pressure. Keep in mind, right, Tesla's Model S Plaid. The promise, right? Keep in mind, battery day, right? Years are building up into battery day. Tesla does the big battery day. They didn't even have a battery. That's a fact.
That may be the first time I've heard Gordon Johnson follow a statement with "that's a fact," probably because generally speaking, the things that he says aren't facts. Now, I also want to talk about this a little bit more. The whole point of Tesla's battery day wasn't to say, hey guys, we've already developed, completed, finalized, tested, ramped, and are now producing at volume a new battery cell. The point of battery day was to say, hey guys, we've developed a new battery cell design. We're going to ramp this up. We've got a few things to iron out, but this is the cell that we're going to be producing. Here's all the details that are available. By the way, the whole point of this presentation is to recruit people to help bring this thing to scale. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. And once again, I just want to remind you of the clip we saw at the very beginning there. Gordon Johnson recommending that people short Tesla stock and also claiming, although I'm a little bit dubious as to whether or not he's putting his money where his mouth is, claiming that he would be also shorting Tesla stock following earnings. Of course, the only reason that I'm dubious as to whether or not Gordon Johnson would actually be shorting Tesla stock is because I personally have a suspicion that he may not actually believe anything he says about the company, in which case I would understand why he wouldn't really want to put his money where his mouth is. But hey, you never know. He may actually believe what he says about Tesla stock. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Gordon Johnson genuinely believes that Tesla is a short and that he actually has a short position? I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. And don't forget the Blockfire Bitcoin Rewards credit card, where you can earn 1.5% Bitcoin back on every purchase. There's a link in the description. You can also earn up to $250 in crypto bonuses when funding a new account on Blockfire, also linked below. And finally, don't forget your free stocks with WeBull and Stake, also linked in the description. These great offers also help out the channel. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.